Now let's turn our attention to Africa. It is the world's second largest continent, both in terms of size and population. In both these metrics, Africa is second only to Asia. Africa is also the world's youngest continent. The average age is just 19. Every other continent is aging. The median age in Asia and South America is 31. Europe, North America and Oceania are even older. But Africa, on average, isn't even 20 yet. So it's a young continent that is growing. And by the end of this century, it will be home to about 40% of the human population. Now, there's a reason I gave you that demographic data. It was to highlight Africa's importance in the years to come. But now let's come back to the present and look at exactly what Africa already influences.
Africa is underrepresented in global governance structures, from the Security Council to international financial institutions, but overrepresented in the very challenges these structures are designed to address. Conflicts, emergencies, and geopolitical divisions have an outsized impact on the African continent. And this Council's agenda demonstrates this. Nearly half of all country-specific or regional conflicts on your agenda concern Africa.
The UN Secretary-General made a valid point. Conflicts, emergencies and geopolitical divisions have an outsized impact on Africa. But the continent is underrepresented in global governance structures. Africa is subjected to all the world's problems, but it does not have a fair say in the solutions. One disparity in particular was highlighted.
We cannot accept that the world's preeminent peace and security body lacks a permanent voice for a continent of well over 1 billion people, a young and rapidly growing population, making up 28% of the membership of the United Nations.
He's talking about the United Nations Security Council. It's the world's top security body, made up of 5 permanent members and 10 temporary ones who keep rotating. The permanent members are the US, the UK, France, China and Russia. These 5 countries have the coveted veto power, and they always have a say on global security issues because they are permanent members of the UNSC. Now look at those nations again. You have the US from North America, China from Asia, India should be on that list, and the UK and France from Europe. Russia is in both Europe and Asia, so only 3 of the 6 populated continents have permanent members. And Africa, the second largest continent in the world, doesn't have one. So why did the UN distribute power so unevenly? Well, you must remember that the United Nations was founded in 1945. Its hierarchy reflects a bygone era. In 1945, most of Africa was colonized. The African people were technically represented at the UNSC by their colonial overlords. It was the same for India. In 1945, we were still trying to throw off the English yoke. But the UNSC was frozen during that turbulent time. And even though the world is very different now, the UNSC has refused to get with the program. It drags its feet when it comes to opening up membership, no matter how deserving the country. But the tables are slowly turning.
The fact that Africa continues to be manifestly underrepresented on the Security Council is simply wrong, offending as it does both the principles of equity and inclusion. It runs counter to the principle of sovereign equality of states and calls for the urgency to reform this institution to reflect the world as it is now rather than what it was nearly 80 years ago.
More and more people are speaking up, demanding fairness, better representation and an end to the UNSC's old world outlook. Africa deserves a member, so does South America. India should definitely be in the UNSC. It's just the logical thing to do. But the UNSC wouldn't reform itself due to logic alone. We need to keep building pressure and support each other's case. Only then is there some hope for change.
Across continents, one powerful news source.
Bringing you diverse perspectives on the issues that matter. we go beyond the boundaries to give you that little extra about every sporting moment.
So thank you for making Firstpost 5 million strong. We're counting on your support, and you can trust us to bring you the news unfiltered and unvarnished.
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree for humanity, one tree for Mother Earth, one tree for our future. Project One Tree, a News 18 network initiative.
From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
Kamala, you're fired!
I say, bring it on.
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill. We know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.
On the show today, the T20 World Cup bandwagon has moved across to the West Indies. What can you expect from this?
Hello, I'm Alison Green, coming to you from Durban, South Africa. Today we have a special show.
We'll start with a report on India's shifting nuclear posture. The first time since India officially became a nuclear power.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Eric Ham, coming to you live from the nation's capital,